In the quiet hills of Kikubamutwe Village, life moved at its own gentle pace. Farmers tilled the rich red soil, women fetched water from the stream, and every evening, the sweet melodies of the church choir filled the air. But one morning, during the peak of the dry season, that deep-seated peace was broken. A convoy of shiny black cars, like beetles on the dusty road, rolled through the village, kicking up clouds of earth that shimmered in the morning sun. From the lead car stepped a man no one had ever seen before. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and wore dark glasses that hid his eyes from the strong Ugandan sun. He walked to the village chief, a warm smile on his face. "I have chosen your beautiful village," he said, his voice smooth and confident, "to build my home, a place of peace." And just like that, with those simple words, everything began to change. Within weeks, the village was buzzing with activity. Trucks rumbled in day and night, bringing cement, marble, gleaming mirrors, and workers who spoke languages the villagers had never heard. Every afternoon, the village children would gather on a nearby hill, watching in awe as a massive house grew from the ground. It was like nothing they had ever dreamed of: walls made of glass, floors that shone like water, and a magnificent golden gate that caught the sunlight and blazed like a second sun. The villagers nicknamed it Ekizimbe ki Egulu, the House of Heaven. "Hey, when God blesses a man, he does not hide it," one old woman exclaimed, her face beaming with a smile. But not everyone was captivated. Elder Lwanga, the oldest man in the village, watched with a deep frown etched on his weathered face. "That land was once for the spirits," he'd mutter to anyone who would listen. "No man should build where the ancestors sleep." But in the midst of all the excitement, his quiet warnings were swept away like dust in the wind. When the mansion was finally complete, Mr. Cato threw a grand feast and invited the entire village. It was a celebration unlike any other. There was matoke, roasted goat, music that made everyone dance, and gifts for all the children. Mr. Cato was incredibly generous. He gave money to the widows, paid the school fees for the orphans, and promised to bring jobs for the youth. The chief, overjoyed, raised his cup high. "From this day," he declared, "this man is our brother." And the crowd roared in agreement. Yet even in the midst of the celebration, some noticed strange things. No one had ever seen Mr. Cato's wife or children, and his guards, tall, silent men dressed in black suits, they never ate, never spoke a word. When a curious little boy asked his mother who they were, she quickly pulled him close. "Shh! Don't question blessings, my son," she whispered. Soon after the feast, a shadow began to fall over Kikubamutwe. At night, a faint, eerie glow would emanate from the mansion, long after all the lights were turned off. The village dogs, usually quiet, howled until morning. Then, the disappearances began. First, it was Amina, the fruit seller. She went to deliver a basket of pineapples to the mansion and never returned. Then, 2 young boys who loved to play football near the Golden Gate vanished without a trace. Each time someone went missing, the village would hear a soft, rhythmic drumming from inside the mansion just before dawn, deep, slow, and unsettling. The villagers began to whisper among themselves. The rich man prays to strange gods, but who would dare to accuse a man so powerful, so generous? One evening, as rain began to fall, Elder Lwanga went to see the chief. His face was grave. "Chief, this is not normal," he pleaded. "The ancestors are restless. The land wants its peace back." The chief hesitated, torn between fear and his loyalty to their benefactor. But before they could decide on a course of action, another child was gone. Young Nabiria, the sweet-voiced girl from the church choir. That night, her mother swore she heard her daughter's voice calling faintly, carried on the wind from the direction of the mansion. The next day, a heavy silence fell upon the village. No one went near the Golden Gate. Then came the storm that would change everything. Lightning tore across the black sky, striking the ground near the mansion again and again. The lights inside flickered violently, and a strange, rhythmic chanting echoed through the torrential rain. Okello, a boda rider, was watching from his small hut when he saw something terrifying. Behind the mansion's great glass walls, dozens of shadows were moving, dancing in a frantic, unholy circle. He ran through the mud and rain to the chief's house, shouting, "We must go now, before more are lost." The villagers gathered quickly, men holding torches against the storm, women crying for the lost, and even the church pastor, clutching his Bible tightly. Together they marched toward the mansion's gate. The golden gate was locked shut. But as another bolt of lightning illuminated the sky, it swung open on its own, with a low, groaning sound. Inside, the house was eerily silent. The brave villagers stepped in, their voices trembling as they called out the names of the missing. "Amina! Nabiria! Who is there?" Suddenly, the power went out, plunging them into darkness. Only the flashes of the storm lit their way forward. On the polished marble floor, they saw footprints, not of human feet, but something larger, darker. The rooms were filled with strange symbols drawn on the walls in what looked like dried blood. Masks shaped like twisted human faces hung from the walls, their empty eyes staring into the darkness. In one room, they found a shallow pit, still smoking faintly. Inside it were small bracelets and scraps of clothing belonging to the missing people. Then they entered the grand dining hall. A long, ornate table was set with plates, and at the very end, a tall figure sat motionless in a high-backed chair. "Mr. Cato," Okello whispered, his voice shaking. Just then, a blinding flash of lightning lit the entire room, and the chair was empty. A wave of terror washed over them. They turned and ran, scrambling to escape the house of horrors. But the guards were gone. The air grew thick and heavy, and the ground began to tremble beneath their feet. A voice, deep, hollow, and chillingly calm, echoed from the mansion. "You should not have entered my home." The earth near the gate split open. A blinding light erupted from within the mansion, so bright it forced everyone to their knees. And then, silence. When the storm finally cleared, the mansion was gone. Only a massive smoking crater remained where it once stood. The next morning, the villagers gathered at the ruins in stunned silence. Nothing was left. No marble floors, no glass walls, no golden gate. Only ashes and broken shards of glass scattered in the mud. Some say the earth itself swallowed the evil house. Others believe the ancestors reclaimed their land. But everyone in Kikubamutwe agrees on one thing. That night, they witnessed something not meant for human eyes. And now, whenever thunder rolls over the hills, the old ones whisper to the young, "Listen, the house of heaven has returned to the ground."